Welcome to Relics Radio. EK here from Adventures in Dirt, coming to you live on a Thursday night, Thursday, December 21st. Man, how could I forget that? I had to go look at a calendar. My head has been spinning. Tony, are you ready for Christmas, man? We got Christmas coming up. Are you ready?
It jumped up on me quick. I tell you, December, man, I mean, we were pushing towards December, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Christmas is next week. Yeah,
right,
I'm ready.
Right.
I do have to still do some wrapping, though. Just my wife's gifts, but everything else is good.
Yeah. You know, I normally at the end of the year, I have all this vacation saved up because I never take any time off during the year. I'm just working,
way
right?
Too much, yeah.
Right. And they tell me every year, you got to take more vacation during the middle months, you know, so you're not taking it all at the end of the year. But it seems like everyone in my company does that because we just all work too hard.
Yeah.
But normally I take the weeks before Christmas off. You know, a week or two before Christmas. And so that's kind of like a signal to me, hey, Christmas is coming because I have some time off. So I have time to kind of put stuff together and all that stuff. But this time I took my time off after Christmas, or so I thought. Yesterday, my boss called me and he's like, hey, just wanted to ask you something. You know, you're off the next couple of days and through the 3rd. Do you have everything done? Do you have everything? And I was like, I'm off tomorrow. I'd forgotten I'd taken...
I guess I better wrap that job up by 3 p.m. today. Yeah, so I just texted your wife, by the way, and I told her that you were complaining about having too much vacation time left. So she said I got the okay to come and kidnap you in the middle of the year and take you off to England or something. Maybe we'll go visit our guest in on the East Coast. That might be kind of fun to do that. We got to come up with something like that for 2024, I think. Get you up and out of there. That way you're not banking all this free time.
That's right. Oh, man. So we're pretty ready, though. We're pretty ready. I'll tell you what. What do we see coming in the chat?
Dude, it's starting to get loaded. I see some Flash team stuff, Flash fam. Already shown up, but let's see. We got Ohio Relic Hunter welcoming to the show, Mr. Bill Hayes. I saw some guy named Flash in Your Pan. I think he's a newbie.
He's a newbie.
Yeah. Full Metal Digger, David Rose.
David Rose, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah. He's in the chat. Mr. Robert Thompson says howdy. Welcome.
Hello, Robert. Yep. Mr. Andy Snell.
There we go.
In the Lost Boys recovery. Good to see you, Andy. Welcome.
Can't forget Matt, ski searcher.
Matt's in here. What's up, Matt? Yeah, he's been
nice. It's gonna be a good show
really
tonight.
Actively. It is. I'm really looking forward to this show for a while. I know that and I've been watching Ed for a long time, and why don't we go ahead and bring him on officially, and we'll get going on this.
Yep. We've booked this guy out a little bit a while ago because we really wanted to have him on, and our schedule synced up, and we're really blessed and lucky. Ed Marvin's on the show. You guys know him as Flash in Your Pan from YouTube, Facebook, the Tuesday night hangout over on YouTube. Ed Marvin, but you can call him Flash if you want.
A lot of people do. Tony. Yeah, a lot of people do.
Welcome to Relics Radio, Flash.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up, Ed.
Yeah.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. I've had both of you on my show before, and it's my honor being on your show tonight.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. We're glad that you're here. And we were talking before the show. We're probably going to appear back on your show. We're looking forward to that. We had a good time last time I was on. I know when I was on, I think Tony had mentioned it too when we were talking about your appearance tonight. So, Look, I'd already mentioned in the chat. Make Ed show you guys some gold porn. You see that?
See what that comes up a lot during my shows when I have guests. You know,
this is a
treasure
family-friendly show.
gold porn, and lo and behold, my audience favorite class clown or peanut gallery, our friend Bill Marsh.
Yeah, Bill.
He brought it up. I just told them in pre-show, Bill, don't ask. It's a good thing you all can't see, because I'd have to get a hold of GoPro Unlimited and say, hey, Jeff, send me back all my gold you bought so I could show it on the live stream.
Yeah.
I warned them.
Yeah.
I have no gold to show.
We're not live streaming though, so this is theater of the mind. This is all audio, so we could totally pretend.
Oh
my gosh, Ed!
Look at that! Oh my gosh! Look at that gold coin!
8 grams! Oh my god!
Wow, you're loaded.
Wow. Look at this boulder of gold I have. I think it's as big as Bill's head. Love you, Bill.
We could do that. Yeah. Oh, Bill's on here all the time, absolutely cracking us up. Like he is so clever and so witty. It's great.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just so used to live streaming, you know.
Yeah.
So I kind of picture everything being video. When you were talking about you could call in, no need for video. I'm like, why
not?
Why not? I'm on video every Tuesday, you know, and
I like it on video. I mean, video is just easier to communicate. I think we're all 3 of us are YouTubers, right? We're all live streamers. We all do live streams and stuff. So it just works well. It's just this platform for the podcast, for the Relics Radio podcast. It's just audio. It gets served out. I mean, we may change that someday. I know Tony and I have been looking at other platforms, and that might be better for vidcasting or something like that. But yeah, this just goes out on audio, but we do like to have the stock so that we can kind of, if there's something, cool that comes up that we kind of want to release in a short. Tony's been kind of doing that. Like last week we had a great guest on. I don't know if you caught it, Ed, but we had the Bottle Ned on with us. He's a bottle hunter and treasure hunter, and man, it was a great show. If you missed that, if you're listening on the replay and you missed that show, I encourage you to go back and listen to that one as well. It was a great show, and there was all these little sound bites, right? That these stories that he had that we were able to grasp into these little shorts, and I thought they turned out great. But that was a great show. So what have you been up to, Ed? It's been a while since you and I spoke. You're like me. We both get busy, and it's hard to stay on top of everyone that's doing stuff out there. And but man, I tell you what, have you? You got your Tuesday night hang, but do you have you gotten a chance to go out and do any actually field work, any get in the rivers at all, or?
Last year I sat in. It's funny. Last year I got out and metal detected more than anything else. I hit some fields. In some woods at an old homestead site with Ohio Metal Maven, and nailed it detecting there a couple that live here in Ohio. And Jersey Ray Diggs came out to visit. We were gonna go to Gold Rush Days over Labor Day weekend, and I decided not to go. Maybe it wasn't this year, the year before, sorry. And we kind of collaborated. Chris from B3 Relic Recovery was with us also, and we went to a couple of my permissions here close to us, and then we went down to the area where Ohio Metal Maven and B3 Nailed It live, and enjoyed their neck of the woods. Some nice finds and stuff. I'm gonna get my dredge down there for sure.
That's all right.
Well, they're living in the right part of the state for the potential of some decent gold. And you know what well, maybe not, but you have a background in gold prospecting, I know, DK. So, but there's a saying in gold prospecting, big rocks, big gold. And all our gold came down from Ontario. And if any of you Canadians want it back, tough. It's here.
You're going to collect it all before they can come back and get it, huh?
That's right. Gold doesn't go upstream, my friends.
No. It came down here and it's stuck. And hopefully I find my good share of it. But, the glaciers came down and pushed a lot of gold from Ontario down into Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and the better gold's down at the farthest pushes of the glacier put, whatever you want to call it. I got a loss for words on that at this time. But I call myself, out west it'd be different because I have glacial deposits there and natural occurring deposits, and I have kind of best of both worlds back home in Washington. But here in Ohio, we have no natural occurring gold. It's all came down illegally from Ontario. And every bit we find, we detain.
Yeah, that's right.
But
put it right away.
That's right.
Yes.
Clean it up, put it in a vial. I sell most of my gold pretty much as fast as I find it, though, because I can't eat it. Yeah, some talk about, when the poo hits the fan, you can use it for barter and stuff, and
cash is good right now.
Cash is king right now. Gold is even better, but can you eat it? And if I have to flee, it's heavy. Then I become a huge target for those who might still have a severe case of gold fever, and
which is real, which is a real thing.
It's very real, definitely. But and gold has a way of showing either the worst or the best in the person.
Wow.
Depending on their character. It brings out the evil side of greed, or it brings out the honesty of some people. I've just found that to be
I'm sure you've seen both. How long have you been into gold prospecting, Ed? What's your history like?
About 35 years or so now.
So I'm sure you've seen both sides.
Yes.
Both sides of that coin, unfortunately, probably.
Lost some good friends, I thought, because of it.
Oh, no.
Wow.
That's
a shame.
So I've made a lot of very good friends because of it too, though, and friends that I could trust.
There you go.
Trust is a huge issue in the prospecting community. I gotta trust you. Take you to my own private Idaho or No Tellum Creek or something, because we don't take very kindly to high graders and claim jumpers. So.
Well, being in Colorado, up in the mountains and stuff here, it's a big deal. You need to know where you're at if you're up there trespassing. You don't want to be trespassing, obviously. So it's kind of that same mindset, with what you do and what you're passionate about. So it's understandable.
Yeah, you don't want to be on anybody's claim up there. That's for sure.
Oh, gosh, no.
On a typical state claim or a federal mining claim, they can't permit you from being on the land. It's public land. You can camp, you can fish, you could hike, you could sit and have a picnic all you want. And only time you could dig a hole is if you're going to do a number 2 in it. But if you dig a hole with intent to prospect for any mineral on a federal mining claim and start to pan it or anything, it becomes a Class A felony. And you could have everything you pretty much owned confiscated and see some legal actions brought to you. Now, if you're talking a patented claim, which I know in a lot of the gold regions in the West, Colorado also, you have patented claims where they went through a process to turn their federal mining claim into a patented property. And once it's patented, it's deeded, it's private property. And then you could fence it all up and deny access to anyone, just like you could on regular private property. But just
let me ask you about a patented claim. If you have a patented claim and the only access is to go through private property, do you have permission to go through that private property to access your patented claim? Or do you always have to have an access that does not go across private property?
Well, a lot of times if you're in a private property, I guess I could say like a landlocked property, you have private property surrounding it. A lot of times there was once access to it. So a lot of times you do have a legal egress and egress from it because, oh, come on, gentlemen, help me out. I'm having terrible blonde moments and brain farts right now. Easements. You have easement rights. But all the way back to the 1800s for claims, for mining purposes and claims purposes, any road that access a mining claim is supposed to be able to stay and be maintained. Unfortunately, the Forest Service and BLM don't always see it that way, and you end up with what we call tank traps out west in Washington, where they dig deep trenches around them and put big boulders. They're actually breaking laws when they do it, but they think since they're part of the Department of Interior, they can get away with it, I guess.
Yeah. Tell us about your gold in Ohio. Like I know here in Colorado, we have a lot of flour gold. We have a lot of small gold, at least in the rivers.
Yeah.
You can still find nuggets up in the tailing piles and such. Very rare in the you still find them in the creeks too, people that go sniping and stuff. But what kind of gold do you guys have up in Ohio? And where's your favorite creek? No, I'm kidding.
No Tellum Creek.
That's not coming up on my map here, Ed. I don't
search for it, Tony. Where's that no Tellum Creek?
It's over there, Tony.
It's over that way, right over there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, what kind of gold do you have?
For the majority, it's what we call fly poo or gnat poo, flea poo. It's fine gold.
Okay.
But fine gold is the world is covered mostly with fine gold. There are pickers. There's a permission a friend of mine has. We have dubbed Picker Hollow. And
that's not on the map over here either. Ed.
No.
Dude, you're giving me some bad
sucks,
info
man.
here.
Google sucks.
it's that way, or is it that way? I
Now
think
people
it's
are
Sorry.
I
wondering
know.
if you're pointing because they can't see you. They're wondering if you're pointing or using your middle finger to direct us. It's that way. It's that way.
I'm pointing in all kinds of directions,
Yeah.
Okay, good,
audience.
good.
But
Sorry to interrupt you there, Ed.
oh, not a problem, my friend. Um, Picker Hollow, I've pulled myself. It's about an hour drive for me to get to. It's nice area in a hilly part of our state. Um, I myself have pulled out like 7 pickers off this property, and everyone that's been there probably has pulled out a picker or two.
Hmm.
I think the total now is like 19 pickers that have came out of it. And for you who don't know, we have like fly poo, nap poo, which is like very fine flour gold. Then there's specks and flakes. Pickers you could actually pick up out of your pan without like licking your finger and poking at it. That'd be a poker. and
Poker,
then
not a
a
picker.
and then a nugget is generally anything beyond a half a gram.
Wow.
So
Wow. Now, like where where you're at and stuff are you using uh, pans to pan this? Are you dredging it, or are you using a metal detector?
it depends on the situation. Um, like where I go on a couple of Gold Prospectors Association leases and Ohio Prospectors Association
Mm-hmm.
leases, I use a dredge or a high banker.
Okay.
I always take gold pans because you want to prospect before you bring in any other piece of equipment. I don't want to just pull up, say, oh, this place looks good, and lug all my stuff down there, throw it, and start working. Yes, I'll get some gold. I'll get some flood gold, but it won't be much. It won't be the bigger stuff. It'd be pretty small.
Hmm.
I mean, like flower small. Um, so you want to sample. So you use what knowledge you have, look for inside bends, nice size cobbles, uh, towards the upstream side of an inside bend. Um, you take a pan here. Okay, got a speck. Okay, you move over 3 to 5 feet, take another pan. Okay, I got 2 specks. Then you go over here and I get 10 specs. Okay, here's where I'm setting up.
Okay.
And sometimes prospecting depends how much you want to put into the prospecting part before you get into the small scale mining part. Now at Picker Hollow, or I don't know if I should say this name of this one permission we have. I don't know.
No,
Uh,
leave it out. Leave
Yeah,
it out.
yeah, I'm questioning it because some people will go, "Oh my."
just
Um,
call it Ed's permission.
well, it's Dano's permission,
There you go,
Oh.
Dana's permission.
and there's been some almost a nugget came out of there, almost a half-gram nugget came out of
Wow.
this place, and there's quite a bit of bedrock and stuff. Wherever I have exposed bedrock, I could work.
Mm.
I take my Knox 800, and I'm not necessarily listening for gold or watching for the numbers that correlate with gold. I use it to search for mostly man-made heavies that get trapped in the cracks, baling wire, fence wire, um, bullets, you know. And that will give me a good idea. I have heavies trapped in this crack, and then I pop cracks and I pop bedrock and clean out crevices and end up doing pretty good. There's the time and the place in prospecting for the tool, you know.
Right. Yeah. I was going to ask you about bedrock because I know here in Colorado, we got to go down pretty deep to get to bedrock. There's not
Yeah.
too much exposed bedrock here. So you actually do have exposed bedrock areas in Ohio.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because you
And
can,
in my part of Ohio, a lot of the bedrock's fairly shallow. There's other places where bedrock, I mean, even 45 minutes down the road, um, bedrock could be up to 300 feet deep. We have an ancient river channel, the Tears River, that flowed out of West Virginia north into Ohio. Then it curved over into Indiana. And they say it's really rich, but where the Tears River Valley once was, there's like 300 plus feet of overburden over it that happened to be pushed down from the glaciers. Now it's pretty flat land.
Mm.
Interesting.
I was looking through the chat. I thought I saw a question in there. So you talked about, you know, big low end kind of mining operation. Um, I think I call that like very recreational prospecting and mining operation, sluice, pan. Like when do you, God, I got a ton of questions for you. So when do you decide that you need to start doing some high banking or, a dredge or something like that? Like, is it when you're producing and you're like, maybe we should pull some gravel out. Maybe we should start pulling some stuff out.
Well, if my friends would be here, they would say I'm the guy. I load a lot of stuff in my truck. I want to be ready for anything. So I'll have my dredge, I'll have my high bank, I'll assess the area and say, well, I think I'll high bank today. Um, Bedrock's not really shallow, and I got some nice gravel bars here. I think I'll work the bedrock. I don't want to be sitting in the water all day. So, or I have some nice cobbles in a deeper area, and my sample pans were good with some decent boulders. So I bring in my dredge. That way, especially on a nice hot dog day in Ohio, um, it's nice sitting face down with the mask and snorkel, and even better if I would still have my bigger dredge with a hookah system on it, so I could
Right.
actually have an airline and a regulator and be down really deep. And um, then there's times where I want to just get back to the basics, and all I do is gold pan, and I don't even bring out of sluice. And Ken, you said here something about recreational, and here in Ohio, it's pretty much my mindset. It's there's nothing here feasible enough to do commercially.
Right.
So yes, here where there's no such thing as a mining claim, it's all leases and permissions. It's all strictly recreationalists, hobbyists. I very rarely use that language though because of my West Coastness. I'm from the West. I've owned mining claims. I've I've staked my own claims. I've worked my own claims. And when you have a claim, you have to do so much assessment work. You have to do your paperwork. You're shelling out money to the county, to the government. So you want to work it, either if it's small scale or large scale, you got to make it worth your while, and you got to put in the work to find the gold. So, but because of rules and regulations out in California, Oregon, Washington, I stick with it as a lifestyle over a hobby or recreation, because it's already during the fight in California to stop the ban of dredges. Um, they a judge declared it during, well, I should get back to why. In 1872, there was the Mining Act, the 1872 Mining Act, which by Congress we were granted the right to explore, stake, mine, prospect for gold and other minerals. And but if you state yourself as a recreationalist or a hobbyist, you no longer fall in the category to have that right. But if you call it a lifestyle and a small scale miner, you still reserve that right. So even now that I'm east of the Mississippi, I just have that Western attitude and mentality that I keep saying it's a lifestyle, it's not a hobby. I'm a small scale miner, I'm not a recreationalist. But most of all, I'm pretty much a prospector. I enjoy the adventure of going out, seeing new places, taking a pan and maybe a sluice and look for it.
Right.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah, it's a blast, and granted, I really liked it when I found a relic or a cool coin or something metal detecting, but someone lost that. Yes, there's history to it, and I love history, but with gold, it was the machine we call planet Earth that created it, and nature and the elements, either landslides, floods, and whatnot, that have placed it. And you're the very first person who ever lays eyes on it. It's
That's a
like
great point.
Yeah, it is.
A gift from God for you. Boom.
Yeah. It's the same mindset though of metal detecting, where you at any point you could find treasure. Whether I classify that as an old harmonica reed, or if you classify it as a picker, it's still at any moment, you just don't even know. We're out there looking for something, and all of a sudden, treasure pops up. And again, you're the first one to touch it, and who knows how long.
And it's like Bottle Ned last week was talking about, when he finds the bottle, he thinks about the trek it's taken to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It had to be made, had to be put on a ship, had to be put on a wagon, had to be put on the stuff. And then people were using it for all kinds of different reasons. And eventually it ended up where he eventually found it. And so it has this journey to end up with him. But gold, my friend, has a much more interesting journey, because I guarantee you that it has traveled and had, hard times bouncing around bottom of a creek bed along that bedrock. And
until it gets stuck in a crack or behind a boulder or wherever, and then you think about how it was formed. It was solidified and made into a liquid and pushed into cracks and fissures in the host rock, and then through freezing, thawing and freezing and decomposing of rock. It ends its way landslides and whatnot. It ends up being liberated from its host, which typically is quartz. You can find gold and calcite, serpentine, other minerals too. And
Garnets.
garnets are beautiful. I know some places with some outrageous garnets out west, and we have some really nice garnets here too, and sometimes diamonds.
Ooh.
But it's just like you said, DK, the journey, from it being a fluid because of the hydrothermal and then it being solidified and pushed into rock and
somebody should write a
travel.
blues song about it, man. That sounds like
there
a
you
sad
go.
blues song, man.
You're a musician.
Right. I gotta think about that one.
That's funny. Ed, you were talking about being out to the west and having mining claims and things like that. And that's what Ken and I are used to being out here in Colorado. It's totally different having the claims and things like that. I remember you had talked about this idea, you were throwing around this idea a couple of years ago of, with all the claims that are out here in Colorado, like looking up who owned the claim, and if they didn't live local, like you were going to contact them or something like that.
Yeah.
What was that idea that you had?
Yeah, out here you can go on like My Land Matters, and you can look up kind of claim owners, and you can see who owns them. And I always did that. I had this one area of interest on the way up to Aspen. There's this river up there, some creek up there, and it's historically a great gold producing creek. And I looked and it's just filled with patent mining claims. So my idea was to try to reach out to the ones that were owned by out of state people. People in Texas, people in Louisiana that just happened to have this claim, and maybe they came out every now and then or whatever. You never know why somebody would have a claim if they're living out of state, but that they do. So I thought about contacting them to see if they would give me permission to go on their claim, that maybe I could do some sampling for them, or I could do, and document it and tell them what I saw, what I found, where I found it, if they allowed me just to do some sluicing and some panning. You know what I mean? No commercial mining, nothing like that. Or maybe check their markers and make sure their markers are up. And I've just never done it. And I always
a lot of
wondered
opportunities out here.
If that would be a good tactic or not.
It would be. And then with the way the internet is now, you could go to the county seat, you could bring up their interactive maps. I don't think My Land Matters now, with the RS 2000s and stuff, the BLM now no longer gives the actual name of the claimant and their addresses.
Oh, really?
It kind of blurs it out, which really bites. It takes it's quite the poke in the research, So you go to the county seat website. What is it? GIS maps on.
Yeah,
I think it's GIS maps.
Yeah,
and
for the counties.
It's just like a plot map where you used to go down to the county engineer's office and you buy the plot map book, and it gives you all the contact information for the owner, along with the purchase price, their tax, and everything else. And you'd be surprised if every prospector out there, mine owner, claim owner, patented property owner, patented claim owner, they really frown upon high graders as high rock, hard rock mines underground, but claim jumpers, they're all claim jumpers. It's like you're scum if you're a claim jumper. And that's how you should be treated. It's trespassing, it's stealing, and you're part of my English, everybody, but you're dirt.
I think for Ken and I out here in Colorado, the areas that we have here are old. I mean, that's what established Colorado, mining towns here in Colorado. So
Pikes
when we
Peak,
right,
Telluride, a lot of your ski towns are actually old mining
yeah,
towns.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we want to reach out to these landowners and metal detect for the relics and not necessarily get into the mining stuff. But they sometimes aren't too kosher with that either because they think that you are trying to jump their claims and find the gold on their property. And it's like, I'm
Well,
just looking for an old pickaxe.
most claim jumpers won't announce, "Hey, I got an interest
Well,
in your
sure.
claim."
Well,
They're
sure.
they're a little more sneakier than that, but when I owned my claims, I had three in Northwest Washington and I had two in Northern California. If anyone would contact me, I would give them permission. I don't think I ever denied anyone who asked me to
Hmm.
go prospecting on my claim. There's just several things I wanted from them when they were doing it. I wanted to know what they found and where they found it.
Sure.
That way I could plot it out on my map I had gridded out, and I could say, okay, Joe Schmo from Alamo came up and played on my creek and he found a half a gram at this location.
Right.
And then I have a record of what's been found where on my claim, and then I could use it to help locate pay streaks and stuff. But with gold prospecting, things have a way of changing within a season. If we
Sure.
have a high water season and there's a lot of flooding, and the water's so high that it's moving not just a few inches of the stream bottom, but the whole, all the aggregate in the stream. Then it redeposits, makes new
Right.
pastries, and the game starts all over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to you're giving permission to someone who's asking rather than the ones that are trying to trespass and jump the claim and things like that. Like you said, they're not announcing them being on there. So if you've got somebody that actually put in the work, figured out who the owner was, and just like Ken was talking about, hey, can I just head over there? Absolutely. You seem
Right.
like a good person. You have good intentions. Why would I? How could I say no to that type of person being on my land type of thing? So I think that's a great attitude. I think that's fantastic.
And later, like I was living in Washington, and if say I had a guy who wanted to do that on my claims on the Klamath River down by Orleans on the Klamath, that's 12 hours drive for me from
Right.
Washington to Northern California, a little over 12 hours. And so, yeah, sure, let me know what you find and stuff. And then it comes into it could turn into something else.
Yeah.
He goes, I did pretty good, Ed. I ended up finding over a course of 2 days of dredging, I ended up pulling out an ounce and a half of gold. I would like permission to work a little more. And then you go, well, now you're gonna be coming into small scale mining, but
Right.
okay, I'm only able to get down to that claim once a year, twice a year,
Mm-hmm.
maybe three times if I'm lucky. Why don't we go with 10%, which is really cheap? And so they give me a royalty of 10% of the gold they take. And then it's all on them to be how honest they're going to be.
Sure.
But
Well, they could also, like you said, 12 hours away, they could tell you, hey, someone has posted up there. They've got a little shack that they've built on your property. Did you know about that? I mean, it's having
right.
extra eyes on the boots on the
And
ground.
especially if they're local,
Right.
they could be
Exactly.
like, "Hey Ed, you were really cool to me, and there's been a guy camping on your claim, and he has a dredge, or he's really working the gravel bar with his high bank, or here's his description to his automobile and his license plate. Did you give this guy permission?
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Good contacts to have.
it could end up being quite
Sure.
beneficial,
Right.
and it's door knocking for prospecting can be very much the same way as it is for metal detecting or Indian artifact hunting or anything like that. You're the worst they can tell you is no.
Sure.
And if they tell you no, you move on. Right? So
Yeah. Yeah. How often did you get down in Northern California? That's where I hailed from for a long time up in the Sierras, and I wasn't into prospecting back then or metal detecting. Darn it, I was young. Growing up in the red dirt up there, above Grass Valley and Orville, all that stuff up there
oh
in
well, and
Plumas National Forest, all that
you're
area.
you're you're in the sweet spot too. I'm actually a native of California.
Yeah.
But I'm from Orange County, from
Okay, down south. Yeah.
Anaheim, California. But let me tell you this, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have been ditching to go surfing at Newport and Huntington Beach and chasing girls in bikinis. I would have been up in the mountains finding that gold, because California is truly a golden state with tons of opportunities
Right.
for the large and small scale miner, from border to border, from border to coast. So,
Yeah, they're still finding it, aren't they?
oh yeah, and what was it? 3 years ago, I think it is. I went out there with Toledo, Jess, and Dano, my old co-hosts, and we met up with some other YouTubers. And actually, Gary from the YouTube channel Two Toes,
Yeah.
and
And it's
Jeff,
Jeff Smith, right?
right,
Yeah,
from
from
Smith's Gold.
Smith's Gold, right?
We met up with those two guys. They're awesome, great people with tons of knowledge, great, great guys. We ended up going to Gary's and Jeff's claims. I All I can say is Gold Mountain.
There
You'll
you go. Yeah.
never see
That's it.
pictures of it really. There is a video out from Jeff, Gary, Top Cat, Todd, Top Cat Prospecting, and mine, but we were told not to film certain landmarks and we didn't. Um, Got to be respectful, but
Yeah, absolutely.
between the six of us, and we were all using metal detectors and sniping. And for your audience that don't know what sniping is when you put on a mask, snorkel, or even have a hookah system or air tanks, and you go underwater and you look for cracks that may be hiding some shining, and you fan away the overburden. Here I am fanning away. I know you guys can see
We
it,
can see it. So he's moving
but
his hand back and forth.
you're fanning away at a crack and fanning away the overburden, and can find some nice nuggets and pickers that way. But I was metal detecting. I was using my Knox 800. Um, Jesse was using his gold monster. Uh, Gary and Top Cat, they have that mine lab that folds up the SDS. So is it the SDS? I don't know, but it's really expensive machine and it's good. And I'm far from being a metal detector expert, but um, we walk, all of us got gold, none of us got skunked. And within about 4, 5 hours max on the river, we hiked out with an ounce and a quarter of gold between the six of
Shoo.
us.
Wow.
Nice.
I found 3 beautiful nuggets in a crack that looked like an L, and it was probably 4 feet one way, and then it did a 90 and about 3 feet. And I hit a real honey hole on it. And there is videos and shorts about that trip.
Yeah. They're good guys, man. I know I talked to Jeff quite a bit. I've never talked to Gary, but I've talked to Jeff, and we both kind of hail from the same kind of area. When I lived there, we talk a lot about my old, well, I was a kid, stomping grounds, but I used to play a lot in those mountains and stuff. But good guys. Like, do you, when you snipe, do you use any kind of sucker? Have you created your own, like, kind of, kind of
Yes,
like a
I have
hand pump?
like, well, it isn't like what they call in Australia a yabby pump or what we call hand dredges here. I don't use any, I use them. I have several, but when I'm sniping, I have, it looks like a big syringe. It's probably total length about 10 to 12 inches, and it has a part that's like 5 inches, looks like a syringe, and a stainless steel tube that's probably 6, 8 inches, and it sticks into the tube sticks into the syringe part, and it has uh, a ball on the end, which you create the suction. And it works a lot like a snuffer bottle, but on a grander scale, and it's designed for sniping. And Bill Marsh, my friend Ohio Relic Hunter,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Yeah, what was,
SDC 2300.
yeah, those are nice machines. They're a pulse induction machine with that are totally collapsible. They're completely waterproof, and they're
They're
I
a few pennies.
yeah,
Right.
they're way beyond my budget. But
Yeah.
if I lived where those guys lived, and I'd be going out as much as they have, and
Sure.
I know Todd has paid for it, mm, easy, and so has Two Toes, easy. There's some good gold to be found out there. Um,
You like going high up, upriver? You like going high up where the boulders get bigger and the rocks
it
get larger?
it depends. I like to, when I was a lot younger, I like getting away from the beaded path. And the harder it is to get there, normally in a gold rich area, the better the gold is. Um, so yeah, I could say yeah.
Yeah. Had some
We
questions come in, didn't we, Tony?
Yeah, we got actually a whole bunch of people. I wanted to say hi to Tim Mill Diggers in the chat, Buckle Boy, Greg from Finding America. Sorry I didn't get to you guys earlier. Great chat going on. If you guys are listening on replay, if you're not joining us live on Thursdays and getting in this chat, you're missing out. But a couple questions coming through. Gigmaster asked, what was, and you don't have to say where, on the air. You can tell me
Tell
afterward.
us
But
afterwards, yeah, but
what is the biggest nugget you've ever found? Yeah. Uh-oh, look at the
uh,
grin on your face there.
it was a long time ago. I was in Northern California at a Lost Dutchman's Mining Association camp on the
Yeah.
Scott River, which it was really close to the mouth where it enters the Klamath River by Hamburg, California. And
Ken, you
At
know where
that,
that's at?
No. Is it by Tula
Okay.
Lake? No. No, maybe not.
well,
Okay.
Is it below
go
Klamath?
downriver on the Klamath
Yeah.
from let's say Wairika. So you go down the Klamath, and before you get to Hamburg, it's there. It's
Yeah.
not quite as far down as Happy Camp,
Okay.
but we're talking extreme Northern California,
Right.
like
Right.
Sure.
Siskiyous,
So funny.
unlike Grass Valley and stuff where DK was from, which
Right.
is Mother Lode area and more centralized, not far from like Sacramento and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
Uh,
Hamburg. It cracks me up. I met a gal from Massachusetts who told me about Hamburg. Oh, I see it now by Scott Barr.
right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
She told me about Hamburg, about being that's what they make hamburgers out of. Do you know that story? Real quick.
No,
Oh
no.
yeah, she's from Massachusetts. And she goes, "Yeah, you guys crack me up here." She came to California. She goes, "You guys crack me up here. You guys think hamburgers are made out of hamburger?" Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Are you
So
That's
see?
we talked about gold porn earlier,
Yep.
and
Nailed
Ed
it.
is throwing some up on the screen right now. I wish you guys could
Nailed
see it.
it. It's
Ed, are
it's
you
this.
kidding me?
Yeah.
no,
What's the
that
size of that? What did it come in at?
Oh
that was
gosh.
about 5 ounces.
Hold that up one more time. One more time, Ed.
It's about the size of
Avocado.
there you go.
Maybe?
It was pretty thin. My other picture of it's in my shop, but
My
it
gosh.
laid in my palm. What could I get that
I
would?
can't. I mean,
But
But how do you even find something like that? Like
right.
it's not it didn't come in your
oh
pan. It didn't fall in your pan.
no, no, and I actually found it with the assistance of two metal detectors.
Wow.
A Fisher Gold Bug and a MD-20, which is a handheld detector, kind of like a pinpointer.
Mm.
And I was there. If you see on the shirt I'm wearing, it says Paystreak Enterprises and Ed
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like my dad's in the back because they were still living in Anaheim, and it was 12 hours for them to come up, 12 hours for me to drive down.
Yeah.
And at that time, I had 3 young children. My youngest was 2, so this was in 93 when I found this. And I was at this LDMA. It's a patented property that's a club property for the Lost
Mm-hmm.
Dutchman's Mining Association on
Mm.
Scott River, on the Scott River Bog. And I'm like, hey, Dad, can I get away from my booth for a while? And he's like, yeah, have at it. I'll watch your stuff, son. So I grabbed the gold bug. I grabbed the MD-20, and I'm walking the property, and I come across this hole that looked like a Volkswagen Bug could fit in it. And in that area, the Siskiyous in Northern California has a very, very rich gold mining history. And I look at this hole, and all I can think is, no one gonna dig a hole that big if they're not finding
Right.
something to give them the motivation to dig,
Keep
'cause,
digging.
Yeah.
we're not digging just a little plug or a
Yeah.
to get a target. We moved quite a bit of material, and they moved yards of material, but it was no longer a day claim. There were no buckets around. There was no equipment around. There was nothing telling any of the other members that it was a day claim and still being worked. And I have no problem being a hole hopper. If it isn't marked
Sure.
as a day claim, I'm going to jump in a hole because, hey, someone just did a lot of work that
Right.
I don't have to.
That's right.
Um, unfortunately, at that time, I had a stay-at-home wife and 3 young kids, and I'm over 1,000 miles from home. Close, I think. I'd have to check. But I'm a long ways from home, 12 hours, right?
Wow.
I'm a long ways from home. So I ended up selling it the same weekend I found it.
Wow.
And at that time, gold wasn't even 300 an ounce. If I had that nugget
Oh my
now,
goodness.
boys, oh my
Right.
God. Woo-hee.
That's amazing.
Gold's over
Jeez.
1,000 an ounce at this time, still I believe. So,
Wow. Yeah.
but that's the
Gigmaster said
biggest.
4 grams was his best. 4 grams was his best, which is
4
amazing.
grams, nice.
That's
Very
great.
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Respectable.
Hey, that's definitely respectable. Yeah, this though, guys, is my once in a lifetime.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
it was kind of a blessing in disguise,
Yeah.
And how? So it was found in that hole that you had come upon.
Yeah.
How much work did you have to do then for it?
Nowhere near as much as the people that dug the hole for me.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the cartoon where you see a guy picking away in the mine, and then
he's
it's
right
like
there,
nothing, and he gives up when he's like inches.
Yeah, that's what happened,
inches
man.
From a bonanza.
Somebody dug a Volkswagen out of the ground, and then you just come in. You're like, okay.
And you swooped it up.
I was scanning the walls of the hole, and there was a nice sized boulder, probably 3 feet in circumference. Nice sized boulder. And I was getting a hit with the gold bug. And, I don't know all the beeps and at that time it wasn't, and I no numbers and stuff to go off of. I forget what they call those numbers. But
your VDIs.
Yeah, the VDI
yes,
number.
The VDI
no
readout,
VDI readout. Exactly. Right. And it's pitches and squeaks and stuff. And all I knew is there was a target because it's making noise. I didn't know if it was a hot rock or a railroad spike or anything. I didn't know until I broke out the MD-20. And with the MD-20, it isn't like the Garrett Carrot or any other pinpointer where it will signal regardless. If it sounds off going to it, it's ferrous. I might be dyslexic on this, though. It's been a long time since I've used one. But if it sounds off going one way, it's not gold and it's some other metal. If it sounds off going the opposite way, it's gold. It's either to it or away from it. And at that time, I knew, and I had a little sample of gold that I'd play with and make sure I had it tuned and stuff. And it was working right for gold. And I just kept following the tone, and it got better and better and louder and louder. And next thing I know, I wanted to yell so flippin' loud, but I clammed up. I clammed up. My heart's pounding a mile a second, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I want to yell out, Eureka, Woohoo!
Right.
Yeah, do the happy
You're supposed
dance.
to by state law, I think, right? If it's over 2 ounces, you have to.
That's mandatory. No, it was like I was kid caught. It was like I was a kid caught in the cookie jar. I kind of like, oh, precious. And I looked around this shoulder and looked around my other shoulder and who's around. And then I took it to my dad. But it wasn't even my wife that got the first look at it. It was my dad. And then I got it as cleaned up as I could, and I sold it that very weekend.
Wow.
And
Once
yes,
in a lifetime.
I got
Congrats.
over spot for it. I got significantly over spot for it, but it was a nice
It's a beautiful
bonus.
piece.
Mm.
Have you been able to follow it anywhere, or find it if it's up for sale at other places? You know, because every piece of gold has its own unique look to it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you
and
know, and
it also has its own properties. They can
okay.
actually determine where gold comes from its
Hmm.
molecular structure or the chemical structure. Could tell, oh, it came from the Klamath, or it came from Scott River, or it came from the Merced or wherever. Uh, as long as they have other examples of the of it. But yeah, it's like a fingerprint. There will
Yeah,
never be a nugget like that
that's
again.
such a beautiful piece, and congrats to you. That's amazing.
But it's probably my nugget of a lifetime. But that this one was, as I can't say it was my most exciting nugget I ever found though.
Oh,
I think the three I found with Smith's Gold and Two Toes and Top Cat and my buddies Jesse and Dano were just as exciting. I found them with some friends. We're all on the river together.
Mm.
But to 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 sound stupid to some people, the gold wasn't even the real treasure. It was the friendships I was forging on that river with those other content creators and prospectors that will last a lifetime. Now I have places I can go again and again and again. Friends I could go out and enjoy again when I see them.
you,
And
you know what? Can't I knew I liked Ed for a reason. I mean that theme from a majority of the guests that come on Relics Radio, it just goes throughout. It's yes, we have this passion for this topic or the history or finding relics and touching on things like that. But if you generally, if you ask them what's the best thing you ever got from being in this community, and you're like, it's the friendships, it's the people I can talk to, you know. And Ken and I talk about it all the time. Hey, you know, you're going on a work trip to North Carolina. What's the first thing you think of? Well, who do I know in North Carolina that I could go metal detecting with? You know, it's like those kind of people that you just cherish more than finding, you know, a button from 1858, something like
yeah,
that, you know.
granted, it's great finding a nice arrowhead.
Of course.
I've found arrowheads while out gold panning, one in Ohio, one in Indiana, and that to me was as good as finding a nugget. You know, it's like, oh, cool. And I found some large cents and bale seals and buttons and some other things, and that was cool. But
Of course.
the people that were with me, that's 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 the treasure, you know, the gold, the relic, the coin. That's a nice bonus.
Right.
But the friendships I'm forging that hopefully lasts a lifetime, that's the real gold. That's the real treasure.
Yep.
And like you
You
were saying
nailed it.
earlier at the beginning of the show, friends, not only friends, and Buckleboy just said this, that's why I want to bring it up. Not just friends, but friends you trust, that you
Yes.
trust each other, you know what I mean? And that creates a special bond. But yeah, I mean, the story, I'm thinking about the stories, like, sure, Tony and I will always talk and have memories, and anybody that's willing to listen will talk about all of our cool finds and stuff. But him and I will often reminisce about the times we got skunked too. Or like, remember that we were just talking about the other day, like, remember that
Yeah.
we're hitting military relics all around this one property on the other properties surrounding this one property. So we're like, we really need to get permission there. And remember,
Yep.
dude, when we finally got permission there, we were so excited, and it was
Oh
the
my gosh.
quietest ground we had ever heard in our life. Like there wasn't even bits of iron anywhere. It was just silent the whole time.
Not even a doggone baling wire.
Nothing.
Jeez,
No.
nothing.
But it was us there, being
Yeah.
so excited to be on that site and the potential. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden now we can still talk about literally finding nothing that day years ago.
And it's
that's
still a memory to remember.
right.
Sure is. Yeah. Yeah, I won't
Yeah.
forget that because it was just so unique and so, unheard of and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bad memory, and I'm never going to be allowed to go get permissions again. But that, you know what? Whatever.
Right.
So Ed, I want to shift gears here. Like you
Sure.
you did these things called Flash Bash.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that
Yeah.
a little bit? Like that was like an event you put on around prospecting and and gold prospecting and small mining operations, right?
Right. Well, the first one I collaborated with a friend of mine, Chris from East Coast Prospecting. We didn't really call it Flash Bash, even though the name came up, because I was talking about it, and he goes, "Well, I'll get in it with you," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, okay." And it was a great event. A lot of great people came to it, but we called the Gathering of Golden Friends. Uh,
Ah,
and and then the next year after that, I didn't have one last year, but the last three before that, I host them on different properties. The first and last one was at my friend's campground called Black Sands. He's a prospector and a treasure hunter and a collector. And it's a nice little campground on a gold-bearing river here in Ohio. And he leased it out to me for a decent price. Then the other two, I switched leases from Ohio State Prospecting, where they got the majority of the door. I charged for those 2 years on Ohio State Prospectors leases. One was in by Mount Vernon on a beautiful river, good for dredging, beautiful lease, and I charged $25 per team, either a family or a prospector and their prospecting buddy or treasure hunting buddy. And they could come, and I provided some prizes, door prizes and stuff, and uh breakfast was included. Then the next one after that was at a property near Georgetown, which has a nice little camping area, little smaller property, but some good gold, had two creeks on it, and that one was by Georgetown. Um, and I always gave the majority of the door to the prospecting club. Usually 500, 450, $500 for uh, a 3-day outing, 2-day outing. And then um the last one was back at Black Sands. I did charge a little more, but I had a lot better sponsors for the giveaways. Drew and Jocelyn of Relics Recover Us, Crazy Lamp Lady and Naughty Dog. Um, they sponsored a metal detector. Um, a Garrett Apex, I think it was.
mhm.
And I had some other good sponsors like Gold Claw and Dream Prospector's Dream with Dream Mat and stuff. And But this time, instead of breakfasts, because I didn't really like the breakfasts, and they were good. Dano's a good cook. He's a big man, and he cooks good, and they were good breakfasts. But, people at these outings, they like to socialize, and, who wants to wake up bright and early on a Saturday morning after you've been socializing most of the night, hopping campfires and stuff and enjoying the camaraderie of people there. So I decided to go with dinner. And so I cooked some high grade hamburger and some good Angus burgers, and we had sides and all kinds of stuff. And I think it went over well. It was a lot easier to get a group picture and everything like that. Um, because of last year, I didn't really have one because my mom died and a lot going on. I had to go out west twice. And so I ended up not having it last year. I'm still up in the air about it this year, but if I do, it'd be the first weekend in June.
Mm.
Sounds like a good time, but it's a
Oh,
lot
it
to put
does.
on.
Great time.
A lot to put on, though.
Digging with Deej has been to a couple. Shane from Ohio River History been to a couple. Matt Hosper from Prospecting Geologist came to one, and that was the gathering of friends in gold that he came to, but it was great. His dad flew his plane, and the Swanks have a small airport right next door to my friend's campground. A small aircraft airport right next door. So Bob, Matt's dad, flew in, and I got a plane ride for about an hour, and I love flying. Love
Mm.
it. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's a big plane or a little plane. I love flying. But that's a little about Flash Bash. I love it.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love. Because I know you two have hosted a couple of your own outings.
We
And
belong to a club, yeah, that
Yeah,
puts
the
on
club does
puts
it.
on an event every year, but we're definitely involved in it for sure. We're
oh,
involved in the planning of it and stuff.
okay,
Yeah.
because I thought maybe the two of you collaborated for the one, and it was actually your channels. Okay,
Yeah.
We
so it was
That's why our hats are off to you, because if we did that, we
yeah,
would go nuts, man.
yeah.
That's a lot of work. It's a lot of
well,
work to put those events on.
you were in the process and the planning and all
Right.
that also, so
Sure.
you have a good taste of what it takes to
Right.
put one on. But mine had a cap. It had a cap of 50 camps, and we probably ended up with 75 to 100 people. I pretty much sold out each time, and I like it small because everyone who came to it deserved some of my time. And I wanted to get to actually know each and every one of those who came to it instead of, something like, which I'd love to go to, like the Garrett Memorial Hunt. I'd
Yeah.
love to go, but I could imagine there's like 500 people
Right.
there or something. And
There's a
it's
lot going on.
right.
Hey, what do you think, Ed? What do you think of did you hear about that Dig Stock 7 that was happening down in Southern California? They put
Yeah.
together the Dig Stock crew that usually does the metal detecting events. They put together a
Right.
combination one down at the Duesenberg Gold Claim down in
With the
Southern
Lost
California.
Dutchman mine, right?
Working with the Lost Dutchman's
Yeah.
Mining
Yeah. Yeah.
Association and with the Gold Prospectors Association. They're a father and sister, or you know, they're related to each other. Can't have one without the other, pretty much.
Right.
But pardon me. I've heard about. I haven't really heard about that site. I heard Kevin Hoagland talking about it a little, but I know they've worked with the Gold Prospectors Association at the one they did in the Carolinas, I believe it was, where they had Indian an area to find relics and gold prospecting along with their regular metal detecting hunts. They were gonna put one on right close to my house in Gilboa area at the quarry there and have some underwater treasure and field hunt. But I guess there wasn't enough people interested in it, so they canceled it.
Interesting. Hey, we had a question a while ago, but Ohio Relic Hunter, and I don't know if this is a joke or something, an inside joke.
Him.
I know, right? That's
no,
why I had to
this
preface
is no
this.
joke. This is no joke. I have my answer, so we'll see what Ed says.
Okay, all right. Ask Ed, dream mat or hog mat?
Hog mat. Hog mat.
Bill, you're evil. Oh, sorry, DK, but I'm a Dream Mat guy.
You Dream Mat guy?
All the way. I do have Hog Mat. I've used it for a while, but let me tell you, Hog Mat works really well for an underlayment of my Dream Mat. They both do their
Play
job.
Second fiddle.
They all do their job. I just prefer Dream Mat over Hog Mat. He just you
is he prodding you for something?
Bill.
Yeah,
He's an
I figured he
instigator.
was.
It's like going Garrett or
right.
Let's duke it out.
XP or Mind Lab.
There you go.
Right.
Let's duke it out.
No, they both do their job. They both do them well. But even though I have a very, very good relationship with David Peterson, the founder of Prospector's Dream, the maker of Dream Mat, and they've been really good to my channel. I'm one of their testers also.
Oh wow.
Gotcha.
But Doc had a great product. He has nothing really to do with the product anymore. He sold the business, and he's
doing lawn care and stuff.
Yeah. But he still has something to do with it. I'm not quite sure what he does with it, but still something. It's a great product. It works. It does its job. But I'm a Dream Mat guy all the way. But here's what I tell David and his brother. You better keep on it. I am not brand loyal. I don't care how good you are to my channel. It don't matter, David, because once I find a better product that I can clean out faster with, catches more gold, I'm gonna jump ship, buddy. I'll love you still. I'll like your product, but I am not brand loyal.
Yeah.
That goes with detectors and other stuff.
Sure.
Too,
I listened to quite a few podcasts, and I'm not going to get into it at all, but one of the things that this podcaster said is, like you said, I'm not brand loyal. I'm about results. So whatever's going to bring me the best results for my situation is who I'm going to support, regardless of where it is. If it's Mind Lab or XP or Garrett or Hog Mat or Dream, it's the results. I need the results. I'm not out here just to spend my time out here. I want some results from it.
They're all tools.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and we're talking now. The live chat's really gotten up here. We've got,
see what Bill did. Bill stirred up the pot.
Yeah, Chevy or Ford, Fisher or White's, Tesoro or Jetco.
I'm a Mopar man.
Oh my God.
How about brunette or blonde?
Oh my gosh.
Charmin.
Brunette
This is the best
all the
one.
way.
No one has
Darker
done it
hair,
yet.
the
No one has
better.
actually went to the ultimate yet. No, you know what? No one has. No one said the ultimate yet. Keep going. What do you want to say, Tony? I'm not saying it. Go ahead.
Charmin or Angel Soft?
There you go. All right, good.
Ohio
good.
or Virginia? That one's pretty good.
The good one.
I don't know what's
a
the
lot
best
of
one.
history, has good gold there, a lot of relics.
Yeah.
I don't know. Virginia's a beautiful state. Ohio, where Bill lives, it's a lot prettier than where I live. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Vegan or carnivore?
Carnivore.
That's funny. It's funny.
I like my meat.
Yes.
That's right.
Bill.
See what you did, Bill?
Bill's very loyal to Flash in Your Pan. He's in my audience weekly, just like he's at your podcast weekly or over at our friends at Beyond Sight and Sound. Bill's a great guy. I think instead of next time, I think it's going to be my hands around your neck, Bill, next time I see you at a gold show instead of Toledo Justice. I'm just saying. I love you, buddy. I love you, Bill. I would love to go detecting or panning with you any day, my friend. And I see another friend of mine that I haven't met yet, but someday would love to. Barb, Dirt Pirate.
Yeah.
What's up, Barb? Good to see you. Good to see you. We are getting close to the end. Tony, you want to? I think we have one more question for you. Yeah, it goes really quick.
So, above all, with your experience and things like that, one of the biggest questions that can really help a lot of listeners right now. Give us the secrets of how do you find gold? What's your best suggestion
for the greenhorn first timer?
Exactly.
Newbie?
Yeah. Barebone basic. What do you live and die by to find the gold? Give us the secret. Give us the lowdown.
For a greenhorn noob, number one, buy a good pan, not a cheap shiny piece of junk, a good pan, whatever you're comfortable with. Learn how to use it and learn how to use it well. There's a saying, just like gold is where you find it, it starts with the pan and it ends with the pan. So learn how to buy a gold pan, season it. What I mean by season, every plastic product has a release agent to release it from its mold. It's kind of oily, and you want to scrub that and clean it off using Dawn soap, or you could just use sand and scrape it up really good until your water stops beating and your pan stays wet. And then learn to use it well. The second most valuable piece of advice I could say is join a local club. The main problem here on the eastern seaboard and east of the Mississippi is we have very little public land, not like out west. And so joining a club, one, will give you access to land you could work on your prospecting and panning skills on, and it will give you access to people with knowledge of other tools such as dredges, high bankers, sluices, and most of the time, 99% of the time, they'd be more than happy to show you how it works. Let them use their stuff. We do keep some things close to our chest, until we get to know you. And I'm sure it's the same way with your finger of the treasure hunting hand, you know. There's things you keep close to your chest until someone proves they're not fly by night
Yep.
and proves their honesty and integrity.
Yep.
But
The
that
trust.
yes, and like we talked about
Yep.
earlier, major trust.
Yeah.
Trust is a huge thing when you're dealing with any type of treasure. Um, and it's so easy to lose it too. So you need to be careful with it. But that's probably my two main biggest things. Learn how to pan proficiently. Oh, and we talked earlier, DK can vouch for it. Gold fever is very, very real.
Yeah.
And once you get bit, when me and my partner Daryl Grimley had Pastry Enterprises in Cedar Woolley, Washington, I had these two guys come into our shop. They wanted a keen 4-inch dredge, nice dredge, several $1,000s for this dredge at this time. You know, it's early 90s, right? And they're like, "Oh, I know a place. I'm gonna get rich." And I'm like, "Well, how long have you been prospecting?" "Oh, well, we just started not long ago, but I know there's lots of gold here." And I go, "How do you own a sluice?" "No, we just have some gold pans." And I'm like, I would think twice about
Hmm.
buying that dredge, to be
Yeah.
honest. I'll sell you it, but I would recommend you, if anything, you buy a sluice box and you learn to use
Yeah.
that sluice box properly and learn how to pan till you're proficient at it. Because the last thing I'd want you to do is spend several $1,000s on a dredge, air hoses, masks, wetsuits, all that stuff, and then, or a big high banker setup. They want a dredge though. And then you go to the river, you're not getting rich, you're not even making enough to pay for the fuel to get you to where you're going.
Right.
And then you get discouraged and it totally turns you off from the lifestyle altogether. They didn't listen. I did order them a dredge. They got it. They went out. They did not do as well as they thought they would. And it was way lot more work than they thought
Yes.
it was. And they got discouraged too quickly and wanted to sell it back. I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy it back, but I'll put it on consignment for
Right.
you. And here's what we get off of this consignment. But I did try to warn them. I did try to tell them. You know, I'm not one of those salesmen that would.
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah. Here, let me. Yeah, it helped
It's
me
gonna
in
find
our
everything.
store.
Yeah.
Sell you whatever. Yeah.
Right.
But
You need two of them, buddy.
yeah, yeah. Why not three? Get one for
Real
your mom
prospectors
too.
use two. Yeah.
Right.
No,
Right,
but
right, right.
Ed, I
You
think
might
you're
as
right.
well get a high banker too, you know.
Ed, I was gonna say, I think you're right. Just in anything in life, I mean, especially since we all have that same passion of treasure hunting for whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have the basics down. You get the person that's gonna go out right away and buy the dais too, not have any clue what they're doing, where they're going, or anything like that, and all of a sudden a week later they're going, "Well, I didn't find my gold. I didn't find 25 gold coins this week." You don't
Right.
you need to really get a good base of how this all works, and prospecting the same exact way. I mean, you could go and stick that dredge in a hole in any river and find absolutely nothing
Oh
because
yeah,
you're in the wrong spot.
there's been times I've been skunked. Not
Sure.
very often, but I do count every little speck, you know. Ooh, I got a speck.
Right, that's a success right there.
I didn't get skunked. I beat the skunk. But, you know,
You know what they call that, right? Flash
what?
in your pan is what they
That's
call it.
right. That's
See
right.
how see what I did there?
Uh-huh.
That was good.
Nice pun there.
There you go.
Pun
Hey,
intended.
Ed, you've been great, man. You've been a great
Love it.
guest. I knew you would be. It's been so long since we chatted. We could probably go on for a few more hours. I know we could.
That's why I have a 2-hour show.
There you
Because
go.
I found an hour was too short, and you know, anything over 2 hours is actually too long. So
Well, I'll tell you what, the next time we'll come on your show, I think we're
and I'll
setting some
have you
stuff
guys
up.
for 2 hours.
That's it. And we'll talk and talk and talk, and then you'll say, "Man, we could go on for 4 hours."
That's right.
Yeah.
Now remember, everybody, put it in your calendar now because it is gonna happen. I'm gonna have DK and Tony with me on Tuesday night Hangout Live over at Flash in Your Pan over at YouTube. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on May 14th.
May 4th. That's
Oh,
just right
May
around the
14th.
corner.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
He's booked out till May. Tony, what's wrong with us, man? We got to get on the
let
ball.
me check my calendar.
Like he's making us look bad.
I know. We were
He's
talking about
booked till
that
May.
earlier. Booked till May.
Mind if I give a little free advertisement for my
Sure,
Go
man.
for
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Tell people how they
Absolute,
can
yeah.
find you and what
you
you're up
know,
to.
I welcome everybody in the treasure hand. I don't care what appendage you are of the treasure hand. You are family at Flash in Your Pan. I'm going on my June 22nd will be my 7th year of Tuesday night Hangout Live. And until last year, I never missed a show. When my mother died last October, I ended up missing 3 shows in between October and December because, you know, I was doing a lot of traveling and had memorial service and funeral, but in 6 years I've only missed 3 shows.
Wow.
And I'm kind of proud of the track record, but I have guests from Gold Rush, Whitewater, Bering Sea Gold, big YouTubers, small YouTubers, manufacturers, inventors. And they're not just gold prospectors. There's metal detectorists, there's bottle hunters, there's coin collectors and coin roll hunters. There's, of course, prospectors. And like this coming next Tuesday on the 26th, the day after Christmas, I'm having Shane with me from Ohio River Histories, along with my beautiful guest co-host, Rose, who has 2 YouTube channels, The Treasure Vixens and Rose Knows Treasure, going to be my guest co-host.
Very cool.
But yeah, I even have like scuba guys come on, but you know, like Jacob from Chaos Divers, he went from metal detecting to kayaking. You know, he had chaos paddlers, and he did detecting and other stuff. And now he's actually out searching the waterways of the country, looking for cold cases of missing people and pulling out cars and stuff out of our waterways.
Yeah.
And like Jeremy from Exploring with Nug, he was pretty much the same way. Started off metal detecting and doing snorkeling with like a Blue Nemo or a Nemo from Blue. I think I'm saying that wrong, but
I think you're right there.
No, the
he would pull treasures, trash and treasures out of riverways, and now he's doing the same thing.
Right.
It's kind of progressed into retrieving vehicles and stuff. But whatever your treasure is, I have bottle dig. I have bottle hunters and relic hunters and arrowhead hunters, and
Yeah, you definitely cover the whole gamut,
go
man. It's a great show. If you're catching on the replay or you're listening live right now, right down in the description of this podcast, you can find links to Ed's YouTube channel, Flash in Your Pan. You can head on over there. Make sure you join him on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, and you're going to be able to just enjoy yourself because it's always something different. And make sure you show him some support. Go over there and say, let him know, hey, man, heard you on Relics Radio. And we're here to check out your channel, get involved in the live stream. There's already always a chat going on, much like our show down below. He's got a great chat, shows up on the right-hand side of his page, and his videos as he's going out. And it's a lot of fun, man. You can ask questions and get involved in the conversation over there. So, Ed, we want to thank you for coming on Relics Radio, and we want to wish you a Merry Christmas, my friend.
Yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and the same to you.
Yep.
Very Merry Christmas. I hope you get whatever your heart desires.
There you go. Can you hang on a minute, Ed, and we'll say our goodbyes off the air?
Sure.
Yeah, give us
but
a second.
Everybody, may you always have a flash in your pan, and I hope one day to meet you on the river, field, who knows where, but I hope to.
Well said. Yep, well said. Tony, what do you got?
Yep, thanks, Ed. I just really appreciate the time. It's gone by so fast, just like we always say. It's amazing to talk to people with the same passions that we have, and again, just finding those friends that mean more than anything. So thanks, Ed. I really do appreciate you and all that you do, and Merry Christmas to you. And I'm looking forward to May 14th, of course. It's right around the corner. I mean, my gosh. But anybody wants to see what I'm up to, you can head over to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, 5280 Adventures. Find out what I'm up to, as well as some clips from tonight's show. Will be over on YouTube for the video side of it. So if you guys are interested to see kind of what I got going on right here with this this mug, my mug for radio, meet me over there at 5280 Adventures on YouTube.
Yeah, yep. And I just want to say that I want to wish all of our listening audience a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year as we get into the new year. I know that we will not have a show on December 28th. Tony and I are going to take that break, spend it with our family. And so we will not be doing a live show on the 28th. But we hope that you enjoy being around family and friends this season, and that you have a very Merry Christmas. You can catch me over at Adventures in Dirt. I'm bringing back the weekly Dirt Show. I had my first episode back last Sunday. We're coming back there for you this Sunday. Let me know what you're thinking of the show. Going to put some changes in it for this Sunday, and we'll see how it goes. But looking forward to excited again to be producing more YouTube content. But catch me over there. Anywhere you search for Adventures in Dirt, you can find me. Everyone, Merry Christmas. Have yourself a great weekend coming up. If you happen to get out during the season break, hope you find some good stuff, and I hope you tell me about it. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time here
Merry Christmas
on Relics Radio. Merry Christmas, everyone.